There are moments in life when someone crosses a line so deeply that your entire body burns to respond. Your mind starts to replay the scene again and again, thinking of what you should have said, how you should have stood up for yourself, how you could have made them regret disrespecting you. But real strength isn't proven by how loud you shout or how fast you react. It's proven by how calm you remain when you could have destroyed someone with a single word. The strongest people in this world don't waste their energy trying to prove their worth to those who can't see it. They walk away in silence, knowing that time, life, and karma will speak louder than any argument ever could. The truth is, disrespect doesn't lower your value, it only exposes theirs. Truth, when you learn to stay quiet after being disrespected, you show the world something powerful, that your peace is more valuable than their opinion. You rise above the smallness of the situation and prove that you belong to a higher level of maturity, discipline, and strength. Anyone can react, but it takes character, emotional control, and vision to stay still when someone tries to drag you into chaos. There's a quiet kind of power that belongs only to those who don't need to prove anything. You see it in their eyes, calm, unbothered, focused. They're not pretending to be strong. They simply know that what's meant for them can't be taken by gossip, disrespect, or betrayal. They trust that life will handle what their pride once wanted to fight for. That kind of person doesn't chase revenge because they understand something deeper. Karma never forgets an address. So the next time someone disrespects you, remember this: walking away doesn't make you weak, it makes you untouchable. Staying silent doesn't mean you didn't notice, it means you refuse to give their negativity power over your peace. Because nothing they say, nothing they do can stop what's meant for you. And when karma finally comes around, it won't just prove you, right? It'll remind everyone why you chose silence over chaos. Number one, silence protects your peace and dignity. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to fight back, to prove them wrong, to show them that you won't be walked over. But there's a quiet kind of power that comes from doing the opposite. When you stay silent after disrespect, you don't lose power, you gain it. You rise above the noise instead of becoming part of it. You show that your peace and your dignity are more valuable than their words or behavior. The truth is, people who try to provoke you are looking for control. They want a reaction. They want to pull you into their level, and the moment you react, they win. But when you stay quiet, when you stand still in self-control, something incredible happens. They lose their hold on you. Your silence confuses them, disarms them, and reminds them that your value doesn't depend on anyone's opinion. Silence doesn't mean weakness, it means mastery. It means you've learned to choose peace over chaos, growth over pride. It's about knowing that not every insult needs a reply, not every attack deserves your attention. Some people are simply not worth your energy. The calmness in your silence speaks louder than any comeback you could ever create. In fact, the strongest statement you can make after disrespect is to remain calm, to carry on with grace, and to let your results speak louder than your emotions. When you react in anger, you waste energy, but when you stay composed, you build strength. You protect your peace from being taken by those who don't deserve access to it. You'll notice that people who are truly secure, truly confident, don't waste time arguing or proving themselves. They know that time reveals everything. They understand that truth always surfaces. So instead of trying to convince anyone, they focus on their journey. They stay quiet, work harder, and let the results unfold naturally. The disrespect doesn't break them, it fuels them. They use that pain, that disappointment, as a reminder to never lower their standards again. When you stay silent after someone tries to bring you down, you are teaching them that your respect is not easy to shake, that you're built differently. Peace is your greatest wealth, and silence is how you protect it. Every time you refuse to react, you grow stronger inside. You learn emotional control. You learn how to rise above what's temporary. Remember, not everyone deserves to know how you feel. Not everyone deserves a reaction. Sometimes silence is the boundary that keeps your dignity safe. When you choose silence, you're saying, I'm not here to compete with your noise. I'm here to protect my focus. You can't grow while constantly defending yourself. You can't heal while replaying what they did. Silence helps you move forward without bitterness. There will always be people who misunderstand your calmness. They'll think you're weak because you didn't fight back, but deep down they'll know they couldn't have handled the same situation the way you did. Because staying silent takes strength, walking away takes maturity, forgiving without explaining takes wisdom. And those qualities are rare. The world is full of people who react, but very few who rise above. You become one of the few when you choose silence over drama. Every time you refuse to lower yourself to someone's level, you're reminding yourself of your worth. You're saying, my peace is not up for negotiation. You're focusing on what truly matters, your growth, your future, your purpose. That's how you win. Not by proving them wrong in words, but by proving them wrong through your evolution. You outgrow the need to be understood. You outgrow the need to be liked. You learn to walk away quietly, and in doing so, you teach others how to treat you. Silence after disrespect is not avoidance, it's self-respect. You're not ignoring them because you can't respond. You're ignoring them because you choose not to waste your energy. You're too focused on building yourself, too focused on becoming who you're meant to be, to entertain negativity. You begin to realize that the best response is success, the best answer is peace, and the best revenge is happiness, because while they stay busy talking, you stay busy growing. In time, the truth always comes out. People who disrespected you will eventually face their own lessons. You don't need to wish bad on them. Life takes care of that. That's what karma does. The energy they sent out will always find its way back. And when it does, you won't need to lift a finger or say a word. Your silence will have already done the job. So stay quiet after disrespect, not because you're scared, but because you're in control. You understand that silence speaks where words fail. You realize that peace is more valuable than pride. And you know that your time is too precious to spend defending what only time can prove. Keep your head high, keep your heart steady, and keep your focus forward. The ones who doubted you will eventually see who you've become. And by then, you won't even need to say a word. Your life will speak for you. There's a certain power in the person who chooses to stay silent when disrespected. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Most people think silence means surrender, but it's actually the highest form of self-control. When you stay quiet, you're not giving them what they want, your reaction. You're showing that your emotions are not for sale. The world today celebrates noise. Everyone wants to prove, argue, and defend, but those who carry real strength don't waste time explaining. They live in peace because they understand that silence is the most effective statement you can make when someone tries to bring you down. When you respond to disrespect with anger, you lower yourself to their level. But when you stay quiet, you rise above it. You take away their power to hurt you. Disrespect only grows when it gets attention. The moment you react, you feed it. The moment you stop responding, it dies. That's the difference between those who live in peace and those who constantly die live in drama. They know what deserves their energy and what doesn't. Silence doesn't mean you didn't notice the insult. It means you noticed it wasn't worth your time. You're not ignoring them, you're choosing yourself. There's a calm that comes when you stop trying to correct everyone's view of you. Some people will misunderstand you no matter what you say. Some will twist your words no matter how carefully you speak. And some will attack you not because you did something wrong, but because your strength reminds them of their weakness. The mature person doesn't fight every opinion. They understand that time reveals everything. They know that character is not proven in argument. It's proven in silence, consistency, and results. When you keep your dignity while being disrespected, you silently show the difference between you and them. You show that your peace is more valuable than being right. Think about how much energy people waste reacting to others. Every comment, every criticism, every little act of disrespect becomes a reason to explode. But at the end of the day, who really suffers? Not the person who insulted you. It's you, because you gave them control over your emotions. Staying quiet is not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing not to let pain turn into poison. When you keep your peace, you protect your focus, your goals, and your future. You remind yourself that your life is too valuable to be reduced to someone's attempt to provoke you. Every successful person learns this at some point. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some things are better handled by silence, because silence makes the other person confront themselves. When someone disrespects you and you don't react, you give them nothing to feed on. They expect anger. They expect a defense. When you stay calm, you confuse them. You take the power dynamic back into your hands. You start controlling the situation, not through words, but through presence. The quiet confidence of a person who doesn't need to prove anything speaks louder than 1,000 angry sentences. That's the kind of strength that cannot be faked. It comes from inner peace, self-respect, and clarity of purpose. You see, silence gives you perspective. When emotions cool down, the truth becomes clear. Sometimes the best response is to watch, wait, and allow people to show their true colors. Silence exposes character far better than arguments ever will. When you stay quiet, you allow karma to do the talking. You allow time to reveal the truth, and truth has a way of surfacing. Always, the same people who disrespected you will one day face the consequences of their behavior. Not because you punished them, but because life does. And when that moment comes, you'll be glad you didn't waste your energy on revenge. You'll be busy growing, achieving, and living in peace. The quiet person is often the most misunderstood. People think they're weak, but they're actually focused. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're protecting their mental space. They know that not everyone deserves access to their emotions. They've learned that silence is not emptiness. It's control. It's having the strength to choose your response instead of being pulled by impulses. Anyone can shout, anyone can fight, but not everyone can stay calm when provoked. That calmness comes from emotional maturity, and emotional maturity comes from growth, discipline, and self-respect. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you are training your mind to value peace over chaos. You are proving to yourself that you have nothing to prove to others. You are showing that you've grown beyond the need for validation. People will notice that kind of energy. It's the kind that commands respect without ever demanding it. Silence, when used wisely, becomes your armor. It keeps you from wasting energy on meaningless conflicts and keeps your dignity intact, because nothing destroys a fool faster than being ignored by someone they tried to provoke. And make no mistake, silence is not submission, it's strategy. You're choosing your battles, deciding what deserves your time. Stay quiet after disrespect. You're not letting them win. You're showing that the game they're playing doesn't even interest you. You're showing that your peace of mind is worth more than proving a point. Over time, you realize that your silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. It says, I see you, but I'm not lowering myself to meet you. That's power, the kind of power that doesn't need recognition because it's rooted in self-respect. The truth is, not every disrespect needs a reaction. Some things are beneath you. Some words are not worth your reply. The more you understand your value, the less you'll feel the urge to explain yourself. Silence becomes your strength when you realize that those who truly know you don't need explanations, and those who don't know you will never understand them anyway. That's why staying quiet is not a sign of weakness. It's a declaration of strength. It says, I know who I am, and I refuse to let your words define me. It's walking away with dignity, not because you can't fight back, but because you know it's not worth fighting. In the end, silence is a mirror. It reflects your maturity, your discipline, and your self-worth. When you master the art of staying calm after disrespect, you master yourself. You stop giving your energy to things that don't move you forward. You realize that peace is not something you find, it's something you protect. And the best protection for your peace is silence. So the next time someone disrespects you, don't respond, don't argue, don't explain, just stay silent and move forward. Because your silence is not empty, it's full of strength, confidence, and wisdom. And one day they'll see it. They'll remember your calmness when they expected chaos. And they'll realize that you were never quiet because you were weak. You were quiet because you were powerful. Number 2, don't react. Let time reveal the truth. The hardest lesson in life is learning that not every attack deserves a defense, and not every insult deserves your attention. When someone disrespects you, lies about you, or twists your intentions, the first instinct is to react, to clear your name, to fight back, to show them they're wrong. But reacting only gives them what they want, your energy, your focus, your peace. The truth doesn't need you to shout for it. It reveals itself in time. The most powerful people in the world aren't those who argue the loudest. They were the ones who know that silence and patience do the talking for them. You'll come to realize that reacting quickly often means reacting emotionally, not intelligently. When you react from emotion, you lose your center. You hand over control to the very person trying to disturb you. But when you pause, breathe, and do nothing, you gain something greater clarity. You see the situation for what it really is, not what your emotions want it to be. Time is the greatest filter. It strips away lies, exposes motives, and highlights character. The same people who try to paint you as the villain, will eventually show their own colors without you saying a word. The truth has patience. It doesn't rush to be believed. It doesn't need to prove itself in the heat of the moment. The truth just waits quietly, confidently, because it knows time will expose everything that's false. That's why wise people choose to hold their peace when they're misunderstood. They don't need to convince anyone because they trust that sooner or later, life itself will show who was real and who was pretending. When you have integrity, you can afford to wait. You can let time do what arguments never can, reveal the truth without noise. Every moment you spend reacting to lies or disrespect is a moment stolen from your purpose. The people who provoke you don't deserve that kind of power. They want to see you break character, lose control, and act out. They want to drag you down to their level because that's where they feel comfortable. The mature person refuses to play that game. They understand that sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's protection. It's the act of saying, I won't let your chaos infect my peace. Because every time you choose not to react, you take back your strength. You're proving that you're guided by principle, not emotion. Time reveals truth in ways that words never could. The person who lied about you will eventually contradict themselves. The one who disrespected you will end up facing the same energy they put out. And the one who tried to humiliate you will one day see your name rise while theirs fades away. That's how life works. You don't have to expose them. Life does it for you. You just have to stay focused, consistent, and calm enough to let the process unfold. Nothing lasts forever, not even. Eventually, the mask falls off and the truth walks in without you saying a word. Reacting in anger often gives temporary satisfaction, but long-term regret. How many times have people lost opportunities, relationships, or respect because they couldn't control a moment of emotion? One outburst can destroy what years of calm built. The person who can hold back their reaction doesn't just win the moment, they win their peace, their reputation. The calm person always comes out ahead because while others are burning bridges in anger, they're quietly walking across theirs in control. And when the storm passes, people remember who stayed steady, not who screamed the loudest. The truth is, time has a way of defending you better than your words ever could. It doesn't move fast, but it moves accurately. When you're genuine, when your intentions are right, when your actions stay consistent, sooner or later, that becomes undeniable. People start seeing who's who. Those who doubted you begin to question themselves. Those who gossiped realize the story doesn't hold up. And those who disrespected you will have to live with the weight of their own behavior. All you have to do is stay calm, stay grounded, and keep doing what's right. Time takes care of the rest. There's a quiet strength in people who trust the process instead of forcing results. They know that truth doesn't need defense, it only needs patience. They don't waste words proving themselves to small minds. They focus on living in such a way that eventually no one can deny their integrity. That's why the calm, collected person always stands taller in the end. While others waste energy trying to convince everyone, they just keep living, working, and rising. And in the silence of their growth, the truth becomes visible to everyone who once doubted them. Reacting feels powerful in the moment, but real power is in restraint. Anyone can explode, but it takes real discipline to stay silent when provoked. That discipline is what separates leaders from followers. It's what allows you to walk away from nonsense with peace in your heart instead of bitterness. Because reacting may win the argument, but not reacting wins your life. Every time you choose calmness over chaos, you're proving that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Emotional intelligence in action. When someone disrespects you, they expect you to lose control. They expect you to respond with anger, to shout, to fight. That's their comfort zone. But when you stay quiet and let time handle it, they lose their power. They stop wondering why you're not affected, why you're so calm, why you're not playing their game. That's when they realize they can't reach you anymore. You've grown past the level where their opinion matters. That's the silent victory that comes from patience. The moment you outgrow the people who once had the ability to disturb you. Time is your greatest ally. It reveals, it heals, and it balances. The same people who laughed at you today might admire your growth tomorrow. The same voices that tried to bring you down will fall silent when life exposes their intentions. So stop rushing to explain, defend, or justify yourself. Keep living right. Keep walking with integrity. Keep building quietly. Because while everyone else is wasting energy reacting, you'll be busy growing into the kind of person who no longer needs to prove anything, and one day, the truth will walk in so clearly that even your enemies will have no choice but to see it. The calmest people are often the strongest, not because they don't feel anger or pain, but because they've learned how to master it. They've learned that real power isn't found in loud reactions, it's found in silent control. When you refuse to react, you're telling the world, I value my peace more than your drama. And that kind of mindset changes everything. It keeps you focused when others are distracted. It keeps you wise when others are emotional. It keeps you moving forward when others are busy fighting battles that don't even matter. There's a certain kind of beauty in staying quiet while others try to tear you down. It's not weakness, it's maturity. It means you've reached a point in your life where you understand that energy is currency. Every word, every reaction, every emotional outburst costs you something, so you choose where to spend it carefully. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop defending yourself to those who've already decided who you are. You stop chasing validation from those who would never appreciate your worth. That's the kind of silence that protects not just your dignity, but your entire direction in life. You begin to realize that silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of wisdom. When you choose not to respond, you're choosing to let time and truth speak for you. And truth always speaks louder than emotion. It doesn't need defending, it just needs patience. The people who wronged you, the ones who disrespected you, they'll eventually expose themselves through their own actions. Life always brings balance. What they tried to do to you will circle back to them in its own way. That's why you don't need to get even. You just need to stay consistent, calm, and focused. There's also something powerful about how silence shifts the balance of power. When someone insults you and you say nothing, they lose control of the situation. They were expecting a reaction, but you gave them peace. Instead, they were ready for a fight, but you gave them stillness. Suddenly, they're the ones who feel uncomfortable. They start questioning themselves. Your silence becomes a mirror reflecting their behavior back at them. And that's when they realize they can't control you anymore. That's how you win, not through words, but through composure. In this world, people confuse silence with surrender, but silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. It's the understanding that not every battle deserves your presence. Some people are not your opponents, they're your distractions. The moment you react to every disrespect, you become a participant in every small fight. But when you learn to stay quiet, you rise above it. You preserve your time, your mind, and your energy for the things that truly matter, your goals, your peace, your future. And that's when you start moving with a quiet kind of strength that no insult can shake. Over time, you'll notice something remarkable. The truth always makes its way to the surface. Lies collapse under their own weight. False stories fade away. And people eventually see who was genuine and who was pretending. All you have to do is endure. You don't need to rush justice. You don't need to prove yourself to people who don't deserve to hear your truth. Just keep walking with grace, keep doing good work, keep holding your peace. The day will come when time will reveal what you could never explain with words. And when that day comes, your silence will speak louder than any defense you could have made. When you understand this, you start living differently. You stop reacting to negativity, not because you don't care, but because you care too much about your growth to waste time on it. You stop giving power to people who thrive on attention. You stop letting anger dictate your behavior. You realize that peace isn't found in winning arguments. It's found in not needing to have them at all. Every insult becomes background noise, every disrespect becomes irrelevant, and your calmness becomes your crown. That's the strength of maturity, the strength of knowing that your life is too valuable to spend explaining yourself to people who never respected you in the first place. You understand that time and truth are your greatest defenders. You trust that one day everything that was unfair will be exposed, and everything that was misunderstood will be made clear. Until then, you stay grounded, silent, and focused on becoming the best version of yourself. Because the truth is, when you stop reacting, you take back your power. You stop being a puppet to other people's actions. You stop being moved by what they say, and you start being moved by what truly matters. Your peace, your goals, your purpose. That's how you let time reveal the truth. Not by fighting back, not by arguing, not by defending yourself, but by staying calm enough to let your growth speak for you. And in time, it always does. The same people who disrespected you will see your progress and wonder how you managed to stay so composed. They'll notice your success and feel the weight of their own words. They'll realize that while they were talking, you were working. While they were wasting energy tearing you down, you were using that same energy to build something greater. That's the quiet victory. That's what happens when you trust time more than emotions. And that's how the truth wins, silently but powerfully. Number 3, your growth is the loudest revenge. There's something powerful about moving in silence and letting your success make the noise. When someone disrespects you, it's natural to want to respond, to prove them wrong, to show them you're not what they said. But the truth is, nothing destroys their assumptions more completely than your growth. When you focus on improving yourself instead of arguing, you rise above the level where their words even matter. Growth doesn't require explanation. It doesn't need approval. It simply happens. And when it does, everyone who doubted you is forced to face the truth they tried to deny. The greatest revenge is not in shouting, not in proving, not in trying to make them see your worth. Is in quietly becoming someone they never thought you could be. Every insult, every betrayal, every dismissal can either break you or build you. The choice is yours. If you take the pain and turn it into fuel, if you use it to sharpen your focus instead of hardening your heart, you'll start to notice something beautiful. You'll begin to outgrow the people who hurt you. Their opinions will lose their power. Their actions will no longer define your mood. You'll realize that every second you spend improving is a second they lose control over you. Growth is a form of revenge that requires no confrontation. You don't need to remind anyone of what they did. You don't need to make a speech about how far you've come. Your results will do that for you. The same people who ignored you will start watching you. The same ones who laughed at you will start talking about your progress. That's the silent victory. You didn't have to humiliate them, you just had to evolve. That's the most graceful way to win. You simply become too focused on your own path to waste time explaining to people who tried to block it. When you choose growth over reaction, you're also choosing freedom. Because anger ties you to the person who hurt you. Every time you think about them, you give them space in your mind. But when you shift your energy toward growth, toward learning new skills, developing discipline, improving your mindset, you reclaim that space. You stop being defined by what happened and start being defined by what you're becoming. Every workout, every book, every small improvement becomes a step toward peace. It's no longer about showing anyone anything. It's about proving to yourself that you're stronger than your pain. And here's the thing, people always notice transformation. They might pretend not to, but they see it. When you change your habits, when you move differently, when you carry yourself with calm confidence instead of bitterness, they feel it. They start realizing that the person they underestimated is now out of reach. They can't provoke you anymore. They can't manipulate your emotions. And they can't understand how you managed to rise from what was meant to destroy you. That's when your growth becomes their mirror. It shows them their own stagnation. It reminds them of what they could have been if they had used their pain differently. Your growth is not just a response to disrespect. It's a statement of self-worth. It's saying, I'm not going to waste my life reacting to people who don't deserve my energy. I'm going to build something they can never take away, and that mindset changes everything. You stop chasing recognition and start chasing results. You stop needing validation and start finding fulfillment. The people who once tried to break your confidence become irrelevant because now you've built a version of yourself that no longer needs their approval. That's what true power looks like: quiet, steady, undeniable. When you grow, you also attract a new environment, new people, new opportunities. Because growth shifts your frequency, you no longer connect with gossip, small talk, or negativity. You start surrounding yourself with those who inspire you, not those who drain you. And suddenly you realize that the disrespect you faced was a blessing. It pushed you to level up. If they hadn't doubted you, you might have stayed comfortable. If they hadn't hurt you, you might have never built your strength. Pain is what pushed you to evolve. That's why growth is such a powerful revenge. It turns every insult into motivation. The best part is that your growth also changes how you see those who disrespected you. Instead of wishing them harm, you begin to feel detached. You see their behavior for what it was, a reflection of their own insecurity. You stop needing them to understand you. You stop wishing they'd apologize. You just move on because you've built a life where their words no longer echo. You realize they gave you the greatest gift. They showed you who you don't want to be. And that lesson becomes as you grow, you'll notice that revenge no longer interests you. Peace does, success does, purpose does. Because when you reach a higher level of yourself, you understand that silence and results always win. You become too busy improving, too care about proving. You stop chasing closure and start building character. You stop reliving the disrespect and start rewriting your story. That's how you turn pain into power, by transforming what was meant to stop you into the reason you never stopped. Growth is not instant. It takes patience, effort, and quiet consistency. You'll have days where it feels slow, where it feels like no one notices. But remember, growth happens quietly. Trees grow in silence, so do strong people. The world will see the results when the time is right. Until then, keep building, keep learning, keep evolving. Because the day will come when you'll look back and realize that the very people who disrespected you played a role in your success. They were the reason you decided to rise. And when that moment comes, you won't need to say a word. Your life will speak for itself. That's the loudest revenge you could ever have. Not anger, not revenge, but a quiet transformation so powerful that it silences every voice that once tried to belittle you. because nothing is louder than success born from peace. And when you've grown beyond the reach of negativity, you've already won. Growth is the quietest form of dominance and the most undeniable. When someone hurts you, disrespects you, or underestimates you, your instinct might be to prove them wrong instantly. But the truth is, the loudest revenge isn't confrontation, it's transformation. Nothing shakes people more than seeing you become everything they thought you never could. The more you evolve, the more their words lose power. The more you grow, the less you need to explain. Because growth does something time and arguments never can. It rewrites the story. It takes what was meant to break you and turns it into proof of your strength. Every day you improve yourself, you're sending a silent message. You didn't stop me. You fueled me. The person who used to depend on others for validation now walks with quiet confidence.
Yes.
The one who once reacted emotionally now acts with purpose. That's growth. It shifts your identity, not your image. When you grow, you stop chasing closure. You stop waiting for apologies. You stop seeking justice from those who don't deserve your energy. Instead, you redirect all that pain into progress. You work on your health, your discipline, your goals, your peace. You build a life that no longer revolves around proving your worth because it's already visible in your results. And here's the thing, growth humbles your enemies. It exposes them without a single word. The same people who laughed at your failures now whisper about your success. The same ones who dismissed you as irrelevant now pretend to have supported you all along. That's what silent growth does. It turns every insult into an unpaid advertisement for your greatness. But growth doesn't come from spite alone, it comes from clarity. You stop growing when you live to prove people wrong because your energy still revolves around them. True growth happens when you outgrow the need for revenge entirely, when you're no longer driven by what they did, but by what you're becoming. That's when you become unstoppable. Every successful person has a story like this. They were doubted, betrayed, ignored, and instead of fighting for attention, they built something undeniable. They didn't post revenge quotes or waste energy arguing online. They went to work on themselves. They became disciplined when others stayed comfortable. They studied when others complained. They invested their energy into evolution, not reaction. You see, you can't control people, but you can control what they'll have to witness. If you stay stuck, they'll see proof that they were right about you. But if you grow, they'll have no choice but to face their mistake every time they hear your name. Growth becomes a mirror that reflects their misjudgment. There's nothing louder than quiet success. No tweet, no argument, no confrontation can compete with results because results speak a language no one can debate. You don't have to tell people you've changed, they'll feel it. You don't have to announce your progress. It will show. Growth is invisible in the process, but undeniable in the outcome. So stop feeding the noise. Don't waste your breath trying to convince people who benefit from misunderstanding you. Just grow. Grow so much that the version of you they knew no longer exists. Grow so much that even your memories of pain evolve into lessons. Grow so much that when they think of you, they realize you never fought back, yet you still won. Because the ultimate revenge isn't revenge at all, it's peace. It's becoming so whole, so focused, so fulfilled that their opinions no longer register. That's when you've truly mastered power, not when you control others, but when you no longer need to. Your growth makes you unpredictable, it makes you powerful, it makes you free. So don't react, don't argue, don't prove, just rise. Every workout, every late night study session, every moment of restraint, it's all part of your quiet revolution. You don't need applause, you don't need recognition, you just need momentum. Because one day your success will be so visible that silence will say everything words never could. Your growth is the loudest revenge and the most peaceful victory. Number 4, walk away with class, not anger. Walking away is one of the hardest things a person can do, not because you're weak, but because it requires strength that most people never develop. Anyone can fight, anyone can argue, anyone can stay stuck in a cycle of bitterness. But it takes real power to walk away calmly, confidently, and without resentment. That's not giving up. That's mastery. There's a difference between walking away out of fear and walking away out of strength. When you walk away with anger, you're still tied to the situation emotionally. You're still reacting, still allowing them to pull your strings. But when you walk away with class, you've detached from their control. You're not running away, you're rising above. You've decided that peace is worth more than proving your point. In life, people will try to provoke you, humiliate you, and drag you into unnecessary battles. Some will insult you just to see your reaction. Others will betray you to test your emotions. They're not after truth, they're after control. The moment you react in anger, you hand it to them. But when you respond with calm indifference, you take it back. Your silence becomes a shield. Strength becomes your weapon. That's the secret most never understand. You don't win by fighting. You win by leaving them, wondering why they never got to you. There's a rare kind of power in walking away, smiling, knowing that your peace can't be touched. When you stop responding to drama, you starve it. When you stop explaining yourself, you elevate yourself. When you stop fighting for closure, you find freedom. Walking away with class doesn't mean you're denying your pain. It means you've processed it, accepted it, and decided not to live there anymore. You understand that every second you spend angry is energy stolen from your growth. You don't get that time back. So instead of wasting it on people who don't deserve it, you invest it in your purpose. You let the situation teach you, not break you. You take the lesson, not the bitterness. Yes. And here's what's truly remarkable. Walking away gracefully unsettles people more than any revenge could. Because they expect chaos. They expect shouting, revenge, or emotional collapse. But when you simply detach and move on with peace, you disrupt their control completely. They realize they no longer have access to your emotions, and that's what truly defeats them. Think about it. You probably met people who hurt you and then waited for your breakdown. But instead, you leveled up quietly. You didn't chase closure. You didn't beg for understanding. You simply disappeared into your avatar. And when they saw that you were not only fine, but thriving, that's when they felt the real loss. That's what walking away with class does. It turns the tables without confrontation. Class isn't about pretending you're unaffected. It's about choosing not to display your wounds to people who cause them. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to broadcast your pain. You don't need validation from the same people who disrespected you. You've already validated yourself by deciding to move forward. In a world where everyone's desperate to be heard, to be right, to have the last word, walking away is revolutionary. It's saying, I value my energy too much to waste it, proving something to someone who's already made up their mind. It's a declaration of maturity, a demonstration that your self-control is stronger than your need for attention. The truth is, walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom, because not every battle deserves your energy. Not every insult deserves a reaction. Not every person deserves a seat at your emotional table. The most powerful people aren't those who win arguments, they're those who decide which arguments aren't worth having. And that's how leaders are born, through restraint, not rage, through silence, not shouting, through presence, not performance. You begin to carry yourself differently. You stop chasing what's beneath you. You start protecting your peace as if it's the most valuable currency you own, because it is. Once you lose it, everything else loses meaning. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this: you owe no one your reaction. You owe no one your attention. You owe yourself peace. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak. It means you finally understand what deserves to stay and what must go. You walk away with your dignity intact. You walk away knowing you didn't let them turn you into what they are. You walk away not as a victim, but as someone who outgrew the situation entirely. Because real power isn't proven in how loudly you fight, it's proven in how quietly you let go. So move with grace, leave with peace, walk away with class, not anger. Let your silence speak volumes, because sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is walking away while smiling, never looking back. When you walk away with class, something inside you changes forever. You stop chasing closure from people who never valued honesty. You stop needing validation from those who couldn't recognize your or not worth even when it stood right in front of them. You begin to realize that you were never walking away from them, you were walking toward yourself. That shift in perspective, you begin to understand that dignity is not given, it's maintained. Every time you choose calm over chaos, every time you resist the urge to fight back, you reinforce your inner strength. The world may see silence as weakness, but silence backed by wisdom is power in its purest form. It's the sound of emotional maturity. It's what separates people who act out of impulse from those who act out of purpose. The person who hurt you might never admit what they did. They might even pretend it didn't happen. But you don't need their apology to heal. You heal the moment you decide that their actions won't dictate your peace anymore. You stop waiting for accountability and start building a life that doesn't include their energy. That's walking away with class, knowing that your growth doesn't require anyone else's permission. You stop replaying the conversation in your head. You stop writing imaginary replies to prove your side. You stop trying to convince anyone of your truth because you finally understand that truth doesn't need convincing, it just needs time. And time has a way of revealing everything. The lies fade, the masks fall, and what's real always comes to light. The most graceful people aren't those who never get hurt. They're those who know how to rise after being hurt. They don't lash out. They don't post about it. They simply move forward with quiet confidence. Because while others are still talking about what happened, they're already building the next chapter. They don't owe explanations, they owe themselves peace. It's also important to remember that walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply about your mind, your emotions, your energy. It means you've chosen to stop feeding a situation that only drains you. You understand arguing with people who enjoy misunderstanding you is a waste of your spirit. So you protect your energy the way you'd protect something priceless, because it is. And when you walk away with class, something powerful happens. You stop matching people's energy and start maintaining your own. You no longer let someone's anger pull you into a storm. You stay calm even when chaos surrounds you. You speak less, move wiser, and carry peace like armor. People notice it, they feel it. They might not understand it, but they'll respect it. Sometimes your silence will make people uncomfortable. They'll expect a reaction, a confrontation, or a breakdown. But when they see that you're unbothered, that you're focused on your life, your goals, your peace, it unsettles them in ways anger never could. They start to see that they lost someone who mastered control over emotion. And that realization hits deeper than any words you could ever say. Over time, you realize that peace is the most expensive form of revenge. Not because it hurts the other person, but because it heals you. It proves that you've reached a place where no one's behavior can disturb your spirit. That's a level of growth that cannot be faked. You become calm, not because life is easy, but because you've learned that calmness is your power. When you walk away with class, you also walk toward clarity. You begin to see who deserves to stay and who was only there to test you. You see how some people were lessons, not losses, and you stop resenting them because you finally understand that they pushed you toward your strength. They showed you how much self-respect you can have when you refuse to react. That's the beauty of walking away with grace. It doesn't end the story, it begins a new one. One where your happiness no longer depends on how someone treats you. One where your value is no longer tied to how someone perceives you. One where you can look back and say, I didn't lose anything, I just made room for better things. In this new chapter, your energy shifts. You attract peace because you become peace. You attract respect because you've learned self-respect. You attract better people because you've stopped chasing validation from the wrong ones. The same situation that once broke you becomes the foundation of your strength. And eventually, when you look back, you won't feel anger anymore, you'll feel gratitude. Because that experience taught you how to walk away without bitterness, how to rise without revenge, and how to love yourself enough to never go back to what disrespected you. That's growth, that's strength, that's wisdom. So walk away when your peace is threatened. Walk away when your dignity is at risk. Walk away when your silence will say more than your words ever could. But walk away with class, calm, confident, and full of self-respect. You don't owe the world an explanation for protecting your peace. You owe it to yourself to live with grace, even when others don't deserve it. Because true strength isn't found in how hard you fight. It's found in how gracefully you walk away when the fight no longer serves your soul. Number 5, karma always handles what words cannot. There comes a point in life when you realize that not every wrong needs your reaction. Not every insult deserves your reply, and not every betrayal requires your explanation. Because life itself has a way of balancing things out. It may not happen the next day, it may not happen the next month, but time has a way of bringing everything and everyone to where they belong. You see, karma doesn't miss anyone. It works quietly, consistently, and with precision. And when you understand that truth deeply, you stop chasing revenge and start focusing on your peace. The people who hurt you will have to live with what they did. You don't have to carry the weight of their choices anymore. When you respond to pain with peace, you rise above their level. You let life handle what your words never could, and life has a strange but perfect way of doing that. You might not see it immediately, but slowly, the energy they put out comes right back to them, not because you wished it, but because that's how balance works. What you send into the world always returns to you in some form. When someone disrespects you, your first impulse might be to fight back, to show them that they can't treat you that way. But if you look deeper, you'll realize that the most powerful thing you can do is not to react. Because reacting keeps you in their game. It pulls you into their chaos. Staying calm, on the other hand, removes their control over you. You allow the universe to do what it always does, correct itself. And when it does, it's far more powerful than anything you could ever say or do. There's something deeply liberating about stepping back and trusting life to handle what words cannot. It shows faith in yourself, and it shows emotional discipline. You understand that you can't make everyone see their wrongs, but time will. You can't make them value your loyalty, but life will teach them what loyalty costs when they lose it. You can't make them feel your pain, but someday they'll meet someone who treats them the same way they treated you. That's not your revenge, that's balance, that's karma. People often confuse silence with weakness, but silence backed by patience is one of the strongest forces in existence. It's a quiet form of confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything because it knows truth always wins in the end. You start to live with calmness, not because you've given up, but because you've understood that everything finds its way back. Every lie gets exposed, every manipulator faces the mirror, and every broken truth finds its voice again. Sometimes you'll see karma work slowly, like a shadow that follows someone without them noticing. Other times it'll hit suddenly, like a door closing that they didn't expect. Either way, it always comes, and when it does, you'll understand why it took time. Because karma doesn't rush. It waits for the right moment when the lesson will be felt, not just seen. It's not about punishment, it's about awareness. It gives people exactly what they need to understand the pain they cause. You see, the best part about trusting karma is that it frees you. You no longer carry resentment. You no longer waste your energy trying to make things fair. You simply live knowing that life will take care of what you can't. And in doing that, you get back your peace, the peace that others tried to take away. You sleep better because you're not plotting payback. You wake up lighter because your energy isn't tied to bitterness. You start winning quietly because your heart is no longer heavy with anger. When you focus on growing, healing, and improving your life, karma takes care of the rest. It's like a law of nature. What you give, you get. When you choose kindness, patience, and discipline, the universe aligns opportunities and blessings in your path. And those who chose deceit, manipulation, or disrespect, they face the results of their own actions. You don't have to wish them harm. Their own behavior does the work for you. It's also important to remember that karma doesn't always mean someone will suffer. Sometimes their karma is losing access to your presence. Sometimes their lesson is realizing that you've moved on and they no longer affect you. Sometimes it's them seeing you at peace while they remain stuck in the same cycles they created. That's how life restores balance, by removing what no longer aligns with your growth. People who wrong you will eventually face themselves. They'll replay the things they said, the choices they made, and the people they hurt. And when that moment comes, they'll feel the weight of what they've done. You won't need to remind them. You won't need to watch it happen. You'll just know deep down that life handled it. That's the beauty of faith in karma. It allows you to move on without bitterness and trust that the truth always finds its way home. So when you're tempted to respond, to prove, to fight, remember this: silence backed by strength always wins. Walk away knowing that you've done your part, you kept your integrity, you stayed true to your values. You didn't lower yourself to their level, and because of that, karma will handle what your words cannot. Over time, you'll look back and realize how much peace you gained by not reacting. You'll thank yourself for not wasting energy trying to expose people who eventually expose themselves. You'll see that life took care of things in ways you never could. And that realization will bring a calmness that words can't describe. Because deep inside, you'll know that no matter how unfair life seems in the moment, it always finds balance. It always repays what's owed. So stay calm, stay grounded, and trust that nothing escapes the natural order of life. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to prove every truth. Some things are meant to be handled by time, by life, by karma. And when it does, it won't just bring justice. It'll bring peace. And that peace will be your greatest victory. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. When you stop reacting to disrespect, you take your power back. The ones who wronged you will eventually face what they gave out, and you won't have to lift a finger. Keep your peace, protect your energy, and focus on your growth. In the end, karma always speaks louder than anger, and your calm will always be the loudest revenge.